Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. In previous videos I mentioned the energy problems that Germany has and what we fear for this winter, and in today's video I want to give you a little more details about what that means for the continuation of nuclear power in Germany, and especially how globalist NGOs and also the Green Party are involved in that and what that means for these groups. Because on the one hand side, they are very powerful, of course, and they pretty much decide what is going on. They carry out the orders of their handlers, of the powers that be, and they implement them here in Germany. However, they also have something like a how should I say that? The Green Party, they have a voter base, and these NGOs, they have people that are not really part of the organization, but that go to these demonstrations and that are kind of their base or their target audience or their followers or something like that. Okay, and so the question of nuclear power is a special hot topic in these kinds of communities. So there are a couple of things, a couple of headlines and interviews that I want to just relate to you, that I want to mention, and then I give a little bit my opinion about that, or tell you what I think that means. The first one is that Luisa Neubauer, she is from a she is at least connected to a very wealthy industrialist family, the Remzma family in Germany. And she is one of the offspring of that clan, and her cousin, I think, still Carla Remzma or something, she's also in this Friday for Future fake Astroturf NGO. And Luisa Neubauer is referred to as the German Greta Thunberg, or the German face of Fridays for Future. And she said in an interview now that she could imagine that that Germany is allowed to kind of prolong the use of their nuclear power plants a little bit, as long as that doesn't mean that they acquire new nuclear fuel for these power plants. If it's only about using the existing fuel a little longer than until December, that would be okay with her. She could consider that possibility. And the way she phrased that, and the way the media also reported about it, it made it sound like, which is funny enough. I mean, many people reacted, had a strong reaction to that, or took offense in that. It sounds like she is actually some kind of president who has to sign on this bill in the end after Parliament decides on it or something. Like she is some kind of has some final word in that. That's how she phrased it, and that's how the media reported it. And people thought, "Oh, this is crazy. Who does she think she is?" Well, I think she knows who she is, and I think she knows what kind of power her movement has, because it is the truth. If Fridays for Future, if they decide something, then it's done. That's what happens. That's why we planned to get out of coal and out of nuclear. It's these Astroturf movements that are deciding, or that are creating the pressure and the publicity to get things done and to decide what's done and what's not done. So I think Luisa Neubauer has probably a more realistic view of who she is and what she can do, compared to all these boomers who comment in newspaper comment section like Welt.de, these center-right CDU voting, FDP voting old people, let's say, okay? Older people. They're a little bit out of touch, I think. Maybe Luisa knows what's going on compared to them. Okay, then there was another thing. It's interesting. I mean, I never really know if I should trust polls or not, but at least this one is interesting as it is published now. It means that the voter base of the Green Party, they could actually imagine making their peace with prolonged nuclear power in Germany. And some of the politicians in the Green Party also tend that into that direction, but I think the more important or more prominent politicians, the heads of the Green Party, they don't like that. They categorically deny that, or they categorically say no, we don't want to prolong the use of nuclear power in Germany. And when we see that there is like a big shortage of electricity or gas in winter, in autumn, that could become a conflict within the Green Party, within the voters of the party base and some prominent politicians. Mr. Habeck, for example, you remember, he said we don't have an electricity problem, we have a gas problem. Well, as I said back then in the video also, we do create electricity out of gas right now. And then the nuclear power plants could help, because then we could stop the the electrical power generation from natural gas. And they said now, and I don't really trust that number, but they said, oh, that would just be 1%. Yeah, but you said every cubic meter of gas counts. So now 1% is all of a sudden nothing. Well, okay. And Katrin Göring-Eckardt is also one of these politicians, who said that nuclear power is not an option. She's a very prominent member. She was very good friends with Angela Merkel, and she is, I think, her origins are in the Protestant church and these things, she's at least a prominent member of a Protestant organization in Germany. Yeah, and she also tends that way. And there is another very interesting thing, in my opinion, that she said. She said in an interview that this question about nuclear power, this is just a discussion, a fake debate that has been started by enemies of the Green Party in order to drive a wedge between different parts of the Green Party. And this is typical conspiracy theory, I think. Yeah, whenever something happens that you don't like, you automatically think that this is a big conspiracy that is only intended to be harming you or to be bad for you, when in fact it's just, it's inconvenient for you, but it's not really done in order to sabotage the Green Party. No, it's because the politicians say that we need to shut down our industry, making millions of people unemployed, so that we can follow these US sanctions. And, well, people are starting to ask questions about whether or not there are maybe alternatives, like continuing nuclear power. And maybe it doesn't solve the problem, the homemade problem, but it is a contribution. Yeah, it is a step into the right direction, and that's why people are thinking about that right now, and not in order to harm the Green Party. Yeah, but that is very weird conspiratorial thinking. And the other thing that I wanted to mention in this context is that the Polish government, it just said Poland when I read it, I think, or I don't remember anymore who in Poland said that, but they made an interesting proposition. They said, hey, Germany, if you still have all these nice nuclear power plants and you don't want to use them, maybe you can rent them to us, and Poland can operate for a fee or something, for a rental fee. They can operate these nuclear power plants in Germany. Yeah. If you don't want to use them, we would use them. I find that a great idea. Of course, I would much rather like that Germany would operate them. But I think if the other option is that nobody operates these nuclear power plants and they just stand there not being used, then I'd rather prefer a foreign power, a not so friendly power, maybe even operating them in Germany. Yeah, why not? Yeah. So very interesting proposition from the Polish, and I don't know. I mean, ask Frau Göring Eckart if the Polish party, the Polish only suggested that in order to cause problems for the Green Party, or if they're just interested in, energy safety, or, well, energy generation, or electricity generation in Europe, maybe, or in Central Europe, I should say. Maybe it has nothing to do with the Green Party here. So there are different motivations here. All right, so that is what I think about that. I think this topic will not be solved tomorrow. It will stay with us for a little longer. And if something interesting happens, I will update you on that. That is what's going on in Germany. These are the discussions or the news that we have right now. Let's see how things turn out. Servus, Kameraden.